Company. We meet a Bimsgarth man who can never get enough ice time. In the hills of Brandon, we tune up with the uncle of Manitoba Bluegrass and bearing his snow for all to see in Selkirk.
Bluegrass music was born in the hills of Kentucky during the Great Depression. For mountain folk, it was the language of the life they led, the family's form of down-home entertainment. And the undisputed father of bluegrass music was the legendary Bill Monroe. Last summer, Bill Monroe stepped into hillbilly heaven, but that doesn't mean that his music and his spirit died with him. No, sir. Both are alive and well right here in Brandon. That high lonesome sound, as it's called, can be heard being played by a gentleman called Lonesome Pete, as in Lonesome Pete and the Himalayan Boys. If you listen close, you can hear them.
Well, the cow's gone dry and the hens won't lay. There's no place I can borrow. Gave the landlord all the news, but the rent's still due tomorrow.
It's a down-to-earth sort of music. It's nothing flashy. Performers really feel it when they perform it.
So pick away on the old banjo and keep that guitar strong in. Put more water in the soup. There's better times coming.
I would say 99% of the songs tell a story. Some are happy tunes, and there's a lot of moonshine tunes, and so they're not all sad. A lot of snappy instrumentals, get your feet a tapping. It's just good music.
My Merrily would pull a plow, if only I would let her. She's twice as strong as any of them, looks a little better.
Feet a-tappin' and hands a-clappin'. There's no age barrier in bluegrass. It's the kind of music that even dogs appreciate. But few folks around these parts appreciate it as much as Lonesome Pete Antonation.
There's better times coming.
Yes, put more water in the soup.
There's better times coming.
I was a farm boy. I walked behind a plow. I milked cows. There was hardships. At that time, all the bluegrass songs were about this, the Appalachian area. So, sort of fell in love with it because I was in the same boat as they were writing songs about.
But that was then. These days, Pete and most Manitoba pickers and grinners jam together like this at the 3rd annual festival put on by the Manitoba Old Time Bluegrass Society. When the music flows through the air like a summer breeze, life is almost perfect. But in the winter, when it's 20 below, the boys in the band pack into Pete's living room and tune up for songs from a time when times were tough, and so was the music.
You have to have a certain feel for it. You don't read music, because I believe that if you read music, there is no personal inspiration or touch to it. Going back to the time where I wanted to learn banjo, there was no instructions, so you had to do it by ear, by listening to the radio or a phonograph record and trying to figure out how these 3 fingers work. And most musicians, bluegrass musicians, to my knowledge, don't bother with music. It's hard to understand, but you just pick the right people, and you just do what has to be done.
And it sounds like Pete definitely picked the right pickers. He tuned each one of these men into the Himalayan Boys, and they've been playing bluegrass for the past 20 years.
If it wasn't for Pete, there's a large number of us who would never have gotten into this music. And It's a tremendous music, and I hate to say the camaraderie. Oh, I said it right. The camaraderie that's developed amongst so many people. And you could say it all boils down to Lonesome Pete.
He has a passion for the music, and it's contagious. I didn't know anything about bluegrass music, you know, really before I got to meet him, and you just feed off that. I mean, he just loves it, and that's his passion, and pretty soon it becomes your passion. Someone said there's no fans of bluegrass music, only fanatics, and that's really the truth.
Did I mention that I named my son after Pete?
Yeah, I guess you could say bluegrass music makes Pete's life a little less lonesome, and he keeps drawing more folks into the music wherever he plays.
We all knew that Bill Monroe was the father of bluegrass music, but Lonesome Pete is the uncle of bluegrass music in Canada.
Pete still manages to stay humble about his contribution.
A flat and scrug standard called Little Cabin Home on a Hill.
It's a good feeling, for sure. Here's the crazy part. I want to promote it. I want the new generation to learn it, but I don't want to get it to get out of hand, to get too commercialized.
Pete Antonation is carrying on the tradition and spirit left by Bill Monroe. He has become the uncle of bluegrass music in Manitoba, and like Monroe, his music has become his mission.
I think it's a friendship, really. It's not only the music, but it's the people that you know, getting together and doing this thing you want.
Do you want to be playing bluegrass music, say, 20 years from now?
And if I can move my fingers, yes. Yes, sir.
There'll be guitars and fiddle and banjo picking too. Bill Monroe singing out them old Kentucky blues.
Somewhere in hillbilly heaven, Bill Monroe must be smiling.
Saturday night at the Grand Ole Opry every Saturday night.
I have to go pick.
We'll see you next time. I'm afraid to ask what he's doing.
Care to the captain. Take this hammer. Care to the captain. Tell him I'm gone. Tell him I'm gone. Take this hammer. Care to the captain. Take this hammer. Care to the captain. Take this hammer. Care to the captain. Tell him I'm gone. Gone. Tell him I'm gone.
Close enough for bluegrass.
It's good.
And anything else?